it's Nikita Perry here from Attic Beauty, and today I'm going to be doing a first impression on KKW Beauty. So I've got my little package here. This was the third time that I tried ordering the Conceal and Bake kits. Every time I went online to purchase, they were pretty much sold out of all of the shades, bar like a few of the darker colors. So I finally got my hands on them, and we're gonna do a first impression. So those of you that know me know that I'm not the biggest fan of baking anyway. I think it adds unnecessary texture to the skin, and unless you're a drag queen performing on stage and you need your makeup to last all night long, I don't know why people would necessarily need to adapt this technique into their beauty routine. However, in saying that, it is obviously a very popular technique that a lot of people are incorporating into their makeup routine. Now obviously the trend has become so popular that all of these beauty brands are jumping on board and coming up with their own concealer kits, contouring kits, baking kits, whatever. So we're gonna go through and have a little look at what's in here. So we've got the KKW Beauty how-to guide. Really cute illustrations on it. Basically it just gives you the how-to instructions on how to conceal, bake and brighten. And if you're after the video tutorials, then obviously you can head to the KKW Beauty website. So the concealer kit comes with your concealer, your loose powder, your brightening powder, and 2 brushes. So to purchase these as the full kit, you are looking at $80 US, which works out to be about 106 Australian dollars. And to purchase each product individually, you are looking at 18 US or 24 Australian dollars. They're certainly not cheap, but they certainly are not the most expensive high-end products on the market either. The concealer comes in 16 shades, so that's 16 different concealer kits that you can purchase. However, there's only 4 loose powders and a brightening powder shades to go across those 16 shades. I purchased the concealer kit in number 6, concealer shade number 6, the bake powder in number 2, and the highlighting powder also in number 2. However, I am really worried about the loose powder and the brightening powder being too light, so I did also purchase powders in number 3. Now if I open these up and have a little look at the shade, you can see that it's still quite light, and it is a very beige pink undertone. I find that that's way too pink for my skin tone, and the loose powder is going to be exactly the same because that's a number 2 loose powder as well. I did also purchase the number 3 brightening and baking powder because that's just a little more of a yellow undertone, and I feel like that would probably suit my skin tone a lot more because I am more yellow base than I am pink base. Straight off the bat, the packaging is beautiful. It's simple, it's understated, so very impressed with that. Let's talk brushes. So you've got your sponge tip / beauty blender knockoff on the end here to apply your baking powder. And then you've got your soft brush on this end to help buff away that product. Now when it comes to this brush, a lot of people online have said that it's basically just the brush that you get in the Urban Decay Naked palettes. It does feel a little different. The tip on this end that you use to apply your concealer does feel a lot softer than the one you get on the Urban Decay palette. Very similar, not exactly the same. Okay, now what do I have on my skin already? Obviously I've already done my foundation. I have the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer, which is a primer and moisturizer in one. It contains hyaluronic acid. What is hyaluronic acid? It's one of these buzzwords that you've probably been hearing a lot of lately. Basically, it's an ingredient that's really popular in skincare at the moment because it helps keep the skin nice and supple, helps retain moisture in the skin. So if you are a little bit dehydrated, it's going to help give you that hit of hydration, and it's going to hydrate you throughout the rest of the day as well. So whereas moisturizers just kind of combat the surface of the skin, your hyaluronic acid is going to help penetrate the skin and it's going to help hydrate your skin throughout the day and prevent moisture loss. It also has amazing anti-aging benefits because it helps boost the collagen in the skin, keeping your skin nice and supple. That's why I think this primer, I've only just discovered it and I am a massive fan of it so far, especially on my drier clients. It just gives you a really beautiful base to work with. And on top of that, I'm wearing my girl Charlotte Tilbury's. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. It's a medium to full coverage foundation. As you can see, I've applied it more on the medium side. You can still see some of my freckles coming through there. I prefer more of like that natural finish to my foundation. I don't like it to look like I have no blemishes whatsoever. On my eyebrows, I have the Benefit Cosmetics Goof Proof Brow Pencil. And on my eyes, I have the Narcissist Wanted palette. I only got this the other day and I'm absolutely loving it. I've also got the Smashbox Full Exposure Mascara as well, and then a little bit of lip balm, and that's it. Now, let's talk concealers. There can be a little bit of confusion around concealers at the moment, so we need to differentiate the fact that there is a lot of difference between a concealer that you use to brighten and a concealer that you would use to actually conceal. So these concealers from Kim Kardashian are used to highlight areas of the face. So if you are using a concealer to highlight, it's going to do exactly that if you apply it to, say, dark areas under the eyes or blemishes or anything like that. If you're looking for a concealer to actually conceal, you want to go for warm peachy tones to help counteract and conceal those blemishes. So if you're using it to cover blue discoloration underneath the eyes, you would want to go in and color correct that with a warm orange based concealer before you come in with these highlighting kits. Otherwise, it's literally going to highlight that area. Today we're going to be concealing for highlighting, obviously. Now, a couple of things on these concealers. I've just taken this straight from the website. The liquid concealer is a full coverage hydrating formula, perfect for correcting and highlighting. Your second step is your loose powder, which is used for the baking step. Now, it says that this is a lightweight powder that creates a soft diffused effect. So what that tells me is it's going to actually help blur and softly diffuse the texture around your eyes, which to me completely counteracts what baking does. Because you are packing so much product underneath the eye, it actually accentuates the texture, and when you zoom in or when you see someone in real life that has baked their face, you can see like there's just so much texture around the eye area, and the under eye area is so delicate. So personally, I don't think we should be even messing with that much product underneath the eye, but to each their own. You know, this is just my personal opinion. We all know that I'm not the biggest fan of baking anyway. Again, this one's number 3, so it's got a little bit of a golden undertone to it. And I've got to say, like, it is quite velvety. It feels quite nice. The third step is your brightening powder. A silky pressed powder with brightening pearls to add radiance. I mean, I just love the descriptions that they come up with cosmetics sometimes. Like, it just makes it sound so divine. Again, quite a soft texture, you know, not knocking this powder at all. It's got a very nice feel to it. Like I said, I've got number 2 and number 3 here. So I'm going to do number 2 on one side and number 3 on the other side. It actually looks like it would be quite a beautiful product to add a subtle highlight to the brow bone when you don't want like a blinding highlight, because it does have like a little bit of a pearl satin finish to it. So it does have a little bit of a sheen to it, but it's not like your gritty, glittery pigmented highlighters that everyone's highlighting with at the moment. So you're not going to get like a disco ball finish, and it looks like it will add like a really just beautiful soft finish to your brow bone or your cheeks or whatever. So let's get stuck into it. The wand is super flat, so that's going to work really well with like getting into the areas that you need to get into. Then I'm just putting a little bit on the back of my hand. Straight off the bat, it does look very full coverage. I'm going to come in with the KKW Beauty Concealer Applicator. First impressions, it is very thick. It is a very thick formula, which, you know, is all about the trend. The center of the nose. Brighten the forehead, why not? Let's go all out. Cupid's bow, chin. I just don't know. I don't know if it's because this isn't a method that I would usually use anyway, so I'm not loving it, but it's just so much product to be using around the eyes. I'm committed. I came in this with an open mind, although somewhat apprehensive, but I'm going to use my beauty blender to try and blend this out. We're committed, guys. We're doing this. Straight off the bat, not loving it. I think the concealer is a really thick, heavy consistency. It's not as drying as what most full coverage concealers are. They can be really, really drying. Now I'm going to go in with step number 2, which is the bake powder, and I'm going to use the sponge applicator to apply that as well. Number 2 is obviously the powder that came with my concealer number 6. So it's not gonna help this situation at all, but we've come this far. So let's just keep on pressing on, shall we? Cool beans. And then I'm gonna put number 3 on this side. So number 3 will hopefully give me a bit more color. Definitely preferring the color of number 3. It's bloody messy business, this baking business. Alright, so we've done the baking step now. In all honesty, it is quite a beautiful powder. It's very soft, but I can already see it settling into the texture underneath my eyes. So hopefully that goes away. Like it said on the website, it's supposed to be a soft diffusing powder. At the moment, it ain't diffusing shit. In fact, it's actually settling into like the fine lines around my eyes. So if you had super dehydrated skin, I don't think these products and I don't think this technique is going to work for you. It does just add more texture underneath the eyes, and it's almost like it's just sucking all of the hydration out from underneath the eye area. But let's buff it away. I'm gonna come in with the brightening powders now. Not that I need any more brightening on this face. I think we've been brightened enough, but we're committed to the cause. Let's go in with the KKW Beauty blending brush and the number 2 powder on the number 2 side. Oh, that is quite a nice highlighting powder. I don't know why you would want to highlight this area though. Sorry, now I've got number 3 on this side that I'm coming in with. Well, you know, it's done what it's supposed to do and it's brightened the area. However, you know how I was saying that it was actually causing quite a bit of texture underneath the eye? Go in with the brightening powder and bam, you're highlighting that texture. The powders on their own, I think, are quite nice. The concealer, I'm still not sold on. I am just gonna come in with a bronzing stick to try and warm up the face a little bit. I'm calling it, I'm not a fan, because it's just such a heavy amount of product to be wearing underneath the eyes, and there's just no escaping the fact it has accentuated the texture around my eyes. Let me pull up a little bit of video on my iPhone so you can see what I'm talking about. Now if we come in here, and you can see that it's kind of like accentuated my pores as well. Texture. You know, that texture might not be a deal breaker for you. To be completely honest, it's not as bad as I was expecting. I have done this technique before. You know, it really doesn't matter what powder you are using for the baking technique. It is just packing texture underneath the eye area. So if you do tend to have quite dehydrated skin, or you've got wrinkles around the eye or texture around the eye, then this is probably a technique that you really want to stay away from, because it's just going to highlight and accentuate that. The concealer just isn't a consistency that I like working with. It's personal preference. I'm just not a fan of heavy full coverage concealers, especially underneath the eye area. If I was trying to brighten the under eye area on a client, I would use something like the YSL Touche Éclat brightening pens, or I would use the matte Prep and Prime brightening pens, or even like the Charlotte Tilbury Retoucher pen. Because they're such a fine creamy consistency and they have got brightening pearls in them, they're still going to brighten. It's going to look really flattering and natural on the skin. But to each their own. I mean, this technique is obviously very popular for a reason. A lot of people are loving it. I just don't happen to be one of them. In saying that, they're probably not going to be products that I'm going to be reaching for in my kit either. If you've still got your heart set on purchasing one of these kits, then by all means go for it. You do you. Purchase them, give them a crack, see how you go. You might absolutely fall in love with it. And I'm sure Kim Kardashian West does not give an absolute toss on what I think. It's certainly not going to dampen her sales. Alright guys, that's it from me today. Did you like this look? Did you not like this look? Leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you!